毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。お見逃しなくよう皆様どうぞご覧ください。
I think it's very good for us to visit you and great to see you here in Tokyo, Japan.
May I ask you?
Yeah.
I want to ask about China's future comparing to former Soviet Union. After collapse of Soviet Union, they made big problem all over the Japan, all over the world.
Yes.
But right now, maybe we are controlling Russians' power right now. So same to China. Xi Jinping is emphasizing on powers and controlling many things. But he is thinking in the way of communist. So they want to plan everything.
Yeah.
But it's important to plan everything, like the like same as Soviet Union's collapse. But we are now emphasizing on China's superpower or future power too much.
Too much.
But I think we have to be ready for after collapse of China. Otherwise, we will meet big problem occurred by China collapse.
Will mean
I think.
severe turbulence, maybe.
How do you
Yeah.
think about this?
Yeah, you raise, I think, some really important points, because there are parallels, of course, between communist China and the Soviet Union, and you have a government in China, dictatorship, that rules really through the application of fear. It controls its people. It is fundamentally, of course, undemocratic. It hates freedom. And regimes like that, dictatorships, they cannot last forever. And eventually they crumble. And I think that the United States has to be, has to maintain, of course, its leadership role as the leader of the free world. This is so critically important, because the alternative to American leadership in the world is communist China or Putin's Russia, and we've seen the sheer evil that Putin's regime has carried out in Ukraine, and so American leadership, economic, military, strategic, but also cultural, is so fundamentally important, and I think the fight against communist China has a lot of parallels with the fight against the Soviet Union, because the Soviets had in some respects a similar ideological approach, but it was all about maintaining the power of these ruling elites. And so this is a time really when American leadership is incredibly important, and I think that the partnership with Japan as well, in terms of standing up to communist China, is so important. And the Chinese fear this. They fear, of course, a United States working shoulder to shoulder with Japan, and China will do all it can to try and prevent that from happening. It's my view that I think President Trump is firmly committed to strengthening the partnership with Japan, with the top priority of standing up to communist China, because a world that is dominated by communist China, or whatever form a future Chinese government takes, is going to be a very dangerous and frightening world. So this is such a crucially important time in history, and we see many European governments actually following a policy of appeasement towards communist China, which is so dangerous, and so the U.S.-Japanese alliance is incredibly important right now, and so the Chinese threat is the biggest single threat to the United States and to the future of the free world today. Of course, Russia poses an immense threat to Europe, which is why President Trump wants to strengthen the NATO alliance. But on a global scale, the biggest single threat that the United States and the free world faces is from communist China. And we cannot allow a world dominated by communist China or whatever follows from it in Beijing. Because it will not be a world based on freedom. It will be a very dark world if China is the dominant power. And so US-American renewal, reinvigoration, and American strength is so vital at this time, working together with Japan as well. And I think this partnership has never been more important than it is today.
This is a big idea we have. Please explain Three Seas initiative in Europe. So because we can develop the policy like Three Seas initiative in Asia, I think. So what's about Three Seas initiative?
Thank you, Yuya, for that question. This Three Seas initiative is an initiative by a number of Central and Eastern European countries in the name of developing connectivity, energy, or technology, basically infrastructure development initiative. It's been out there for about 10 years now. In fact, this week, today and tomorrow, in Poland, they'll have this Three Seas Initiative Summit and Business Forum, which is an important occasion, annual occasion. U.S. Secretary of Energy, Secretary Chris Wright, will be attending that conference to talk about importance of energy security, energy independence, and the importance of working with the United States in that energy space. So this is really about going beyond just development, foreign aid, that kind of thing. This is a real practical economic partnership. And this is why these three C's, when we talk about these three C's, we're talking about Baltic Sea, Adriatic Sea, and then also Black Sea. These three C's, and there are 12 key members of this initiative. It began with the Polish and the Bulgarian and Croatian willingness to create this kind of initiative. They're all members of NATO as well as European Union. But that doesn't mean anything. Well, except Austria. Austria is not a member of NATO. It's a neutral country. So the bottom line is this is an economic partnership, and United States obviously, from Washington's perspective, this is actually a welcome development. President Trump himself attended the big Three Seas Initiative Summit back in 2017, once again when Poland was hosting it. So you may remember this big foreign policy speech by President Trump, but he himself actually paid to this important initiative. It's still younger in early stage, but this initiative has a lot of potential to grow.
So in Asian version, we propose Japan Sea and East China Sea and South China Sea. That's like three seas.
That's a very cute idea.
But I think the other day, Defense Minister talked about one theater policy.
I think this kind of conversation is very welcome. I mean, we have to go beyond the conventional framework. We have to be thinking in a way innovative and creative way, because the previous conversation we had was how to deal with China, basically.
To block China.
So there are many different ways.
Yes. So we can concentrate our allied, not allied, friendly countries gathered into one theater to block against China.
One big theater, but maybe two sub-theaters or something like that. But I think keyword I want to highlight is, however we call it, this is time for us to think really outside the box. And also, depending on issues, especially when it comes down to China issue, we need to prioritize.
Yeah.
We need to prioritize
Yeah.
what we can do.
Yeah.
That's why I'm personally very encouraged by what's happening between United States and Japan.
Yeah.
In my view, there's no doubt Japan is a priority country for
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah.
That's why we have a very vibrant interaction over the past 98 days
Yeah.
since January
Yeah.
20th.
Yeah.
Your Prime Minister visited Washington.
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense visited
Yeah.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
And we have our new ambassador already
Yeah.
here in Tokyo as well. This is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Mm.
So we started in a very good way because after all,
Yeah.
people are policies. And even better, the late Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Abe had a wonderful friendship and chemistry with the President Trump.
Yes.
President Trump's like Japan as well. So
Yeah.
I think this journey we are doing together is really a very important and worthwhile journey.
Yeah.
And I'm sure President Trump is looking forward to revisiting Japan probably this year. So all the conversation we are having today and the great work by you, Yuya, and your colleague
Yeah.
through Kyukoku Institute
Yeah.
think tank,
Yeah.
more than ever, it's vital. So
Yeah.
keep doing your great work.
Yeah.
Again, whether we call it 3 C's or one theater,
Yeah.
that's a kind of, in a way, less important.
Yeah.
What is more important is we think together and we advance these new ideas
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
In addition to this one theater policy, same as 3 C's initiative, I think we have to put the stress on the northern area because after the end of Ukrainian war, Russia will have rebuilt their power into Arctic Sea or
Very
to the
important,
Asian
General.
area.
Very
I
important
think
point.
we put the stress on the northern area, then we can deny the Russian would use easily to this area.
Very important
So
strategic
that
mindset.
to help the United States defense.
Very important, General.
What do you think?
because That's why President Trump has been talking about the strategic importance of Greenland.
Yes,
Yeah.
Greenland.
Yeah.
And that's why it is very great to see the interaction, elevated interaction between United States and Finland when it comes down to icebreakers.
Yeah.
Because Arctic's it's very cold. And we need, good equipment to navigate that area. And this is a strategic crossroad. So not only Russia, China is looking
Right.
at that. Natural resource and all the
Yes.
strategic military, advantage. So your point is right on. That much, President Trump's thinking is wider and deeper. His table is not this small. This is already long and big to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But his thinking table is much bigger. And that's
Right.
why we see a lot of moving pieces so far on the President Trump's 2.0. Right?
So the president said there are imbalance
Yes.
between U.S. and Japan security tree. But I think we coordinate with how to control Arctic Sea
Working
against
together.
China and Russia.
Yes.
Then we can make balance between U.S. and Japan, I
it's
think.
not necessarily bad imbalance, but we can do a lot of things more together. That's the message. And this is an important year between when it comes down to U.S.-Japan relationship. We are celebrating 5th anniversary of Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security between Japan and United States. Then it's one thing we celebrate. The next thing we should do is what can we do more together? So this issue you just mentioned, General, is very much fitting into that thinking.
In
Yeah.
Japan, people don't agree this idea so well.
Maybe this is why we're
US
having
people.
this conversation.
Great. Great.
So we spread the idea.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンク ライブです。お見逃しなくよう皆様どうぞご覧ください。
日本には近代政党が必要だ。自分の政策与奪の権を政治家に任せていってはいけない。ましてや官僚をシンクタンクにしている政治家に任せたら何をされるかわからない。
規制が増えたり税が増えたりすると政府の力ってのはどんどん強くなっていく。でそうすると自分たちの意思とは関係ない政治とか社会の意思決定がなされていく。
それが環境に役立つのか役に立たないのかという人は大勢いたんですが、そもそも手続きとしておかしい。民主国家というのはこれ基本的に手続きの世界なんですよね。
目的は一つで、日本が地球上で文明国として生き残るため。